Formula E has a problem.
It's one of the most misunderstood championships in motorsport.
Now, admittedly, I'm a casual observer with judgmental tendencies, but I'm also a mechanical engineer. And when people engineer cool car stuff, my animal brain shuts down and my prefrontal cortex lights up like the dash lights on your girlfriend's Nissan Altima. As I started to dig into the intricate world of Formula E, I realized that the engineers, the aerodynamicists, the technical directors, even the drivers are all just trying to solve one complex equation: energy management. And how you go about solving that equation is forcing some of the brightest minds in the sport to abandon their more classical ways of dealing with race car problems. That you shouldn't hate. The racing stops being about who's the bravest and starts being about who's the smartest.
Nick Cassidy will come across the line to take the checkered flag and win the Mexico City E-Prix.
200-mile-per-hour chess. About time I learned how to play chess. This is Coding the Chaos. In this series, we're ripping apart the engineering, the strategy, and the stuff that makes this sport unlike anything else. So if you don't know me, my name is Jeremiah Burr, and I am an engineer, I'm an amateur racer, and I'm one of the hosts of the YouTube channel Big Time, where we do a lot of car building and car breaking. That's why we can't have nice stuff. And look, I love combustion engines, but the world is moving more and more towards all electric powertrain. And I can try to sell you on the idea of why that is cool, but I'll let this guy do it.
I don't think people really understand that a combustion car and an electric car are completely two different beasts. It's almost like analog photography and digital photography. The result could be similar, but are two completely distinct technologies. One moves with controlled chemical explosions inside the piston chamber. The other is the movement of electrons, which are way more efficient, more controllable. So of course the mobility is going to transition from a chemical combustion engine that has an efficiency of 30-40% to something that has an efficiency of 97-98%. This is clear. It's just that the more we accelerate the technology, the faster the transition becomes. So why not create a laboratory for that on the track?
And that is exactly what Formula E is, a place to test and push the limits of EV science and engineering. From what I understand, Formula E takes the formula part really seriously. All the teams are solving the same problem. So, what really is energy management? Well, I asked some of the folks at Formula E to explain it in 20 seconds or less. Take it away, boys.
Energy management, that's what Formula E is all about. We start the race with less energy than we need to finish it. So during that race, we've got to find ways of recuperating that energy to put it back into the battery to allow our car to get across the finish line at the end of the race, hopefully in first place.
Energy management is basically a way for us to find the most efficient way to save energy, and that's whether by lifting, coasting, slipstreaming, and whoever does it the most efficiently generally wins the race.
It's quite interesting the fact that actually we start the races with much less energy allocation than we actually can deploy, because we are going to recover it throughout the stints, so we can redeploy it later on the attack mode.
Okay, so you start with less energy than you need to finish the race, and you recharge your batteries as you go. And did that dude say attack mode? Sounds like we need a little Formula E 101 lesson. And who better to give it to us than a member of the championship-winning Jaguar racing team?
In Formula E, we have 10 different teams made up of 20 different drivers. We race with 38.5 kilowatt hours energy in our battery, but the key thing is that's not actually enough for us to push flat out the whole race. Typically in Formula E, we're using the regenerative braking and recovering about 40% of the energy that we deploy, so that we can then go on to reuse that energy for the rest of the race. State of charge, or what we usually call SOC, is the percentage of energy that we have remaining in the battery.
So he's going for his pit boost stop.
So pit boost is when we can do a pit stop in the race to charge 3.85 kilowatt hours in just 30 seconds. So in our standard race mode, we have 300 kilowatts of power. But when we activate attack mode, that goes up to 350. To activate attack mode, the driver needs to drive through what we call the attack zone. If he then takes the correct line through the attack zone, that will activate attack mode.
Okay, I think I got it. All 20 cars on the grid start with the same battery capacity. And you can recharge your battery through things like regen braking, driver techniques, and pit boost on some tracks. SOC stands for state of charge, that's like your fuel gauge. And then you also have attack mode. It's like a Mario Kart mushroom in real life. Pretty f***ing cool, huh? Okay, but now I want to know more about these race cars. expand my mind a little.
So on top here, you can see all the bodywork on the car. Underneath the bodywork, we have a frame which we call the chassis. The bits that the teams individually design is the rear end of the car. So this is where we design our own suspension, our own powertrain, and this is the part that kind of gives us our competitive edge.
Now there are a bunch of things we're going to dive into when talking about Formula E cars in this series. They've got all kinds of crazy tech, a dual powertrain, a brake-by-wire regen system, and we're going to cover all of that in episode 2. But when it comes down to energy, it all starts with this, the battery. And a Formula E car has a big honking one.
Obviously being an electric car, we're powered by a battery. The battery is in the Formula E car, which is stored at the rear of the car. Actually really heavy, weighs around 285 kilos. Every team has the same battery supplier, so all the teams down the grid have exactly the same battery.
Now a Formula E car has a 38.5 kilowatt hour battery. Now that is energy. Energy is how much you have. Power is how fast you spend it. Now if that doesn't make sense, let me explain it. Now a Formula E battery stores as much total energy of about 13,000 AA batteries. And that's energy, about 38,500 watt hours. But this is where energy versus power becomes critical. A AA battery has about 3 watt hours of energy, but it can only safely deliver a few watts at a time. Now if you were to try to pull 300,000 watts from a AA battery, it would be like, no thank you, I'm going to explode. Poof. Formula E car, on the other hand, can discharge 300 kilowatts, 350 kilowatts in attack mode. So yes, it holds the same energy as 13,000 AA batteries. But unlike a AA battery, it can dump that energy fast enough to literally empty the entire pack in less than 8 minutes. But the race lasts 45 minutes. So how do they do it? Well, they lift, they coast, they use regenerative braking, they draft. All these things get put into play during the course of a race so that you can last all 45 minutes and hopefully cross the finish line first.
Wins in Sao Paulo.
It's the constant push and pull between performance and survival. This is the 3D chess game that is going on at the racetrack.
His 9th career victory in Formula E. Pascal Wehrlein wins.
Now, as impressive as these batteries in these cars are, they are not the only stars in the energy management show. Oh no. Race strategy and driver skill plays a big part too. And this guy right here knows a thing or two about winning Formula E races.
Yes! And it's awarded to Jake Dennis.
Excuse me. This is the car. This is my my pride and joy, which the boys rebuild when I crash it. So this is the track map for the weekend. As you can see, there's actually 2 to 3 very big straights. We've got 3 big braking zones as well. You've got turns 1, turns 8, and turns 13. We've also then got the 2 chicanes and some high-speed corners as well. So these are generally quite difficult for us to recharge the battery and in an efficient manner.
As a Formula E driver, we're studying in each corner of the track how much and how hard we need to brake versus how quick we can go in the corner. You're always thinking about saving energy, but in an efficient way, trying to gain places. And then usually when you go into attack mode, you try to go for it.
Okay, so clearly having a track-specific strategy is one part of the energy management equation. But I imagine where you start the race would play a big part too.
Where have we qualified? If we've qualified at the back, there might be a strategy out there that says, hey, you know what, let's hang back, bank some energy. We can then exploit that additional energy that we have.
Sometimes the strategy is to lose places, to save, and then come back forward through the field. It's always a compromise between how many places do you want to lose versus gain, how many laps are left, and how many attack modes you still have to take or you have taken.
Okay, so to illustrate energy management on track, we're going to use a good old party balloon. Think of the air in this balloon as the energy stored in a Formula E battery. Now, say we qualify mid-pack. The plan is gain a few spots early, then save and make a push near the end. But we can't use all of our air before the checkered flag. So when we push hard down the straights and through the chicanes, the balloon deflates. More acceleration means more energy used, and the faster the balloon shrinks. But when the driver hits the brakes going into a corner, regen braking acts like a pump. Instead of turning that energy into heat, the car captures it and feeds it back into the battery, aka the balloon. Now, we need to be smart, and we can't go flat out all race, so we need to manage energy with drafting and coasting. And these techniques let you hold pace while spending less energy, so the balloon shrinks even slower. So during the entire race, the amount of air in this balloon is constantly changing. Deflating when you accelerate, shrinking slower when driving efficiently, and inflating under regen. And the key to winning is simple. Save enough to send it when it matters. But whatever you do, don't end up with a floppy balloon. This is why the end of Formula E races are absolute chaos. because the drivers are racing to the finish on 1% battery.
And we're green in Mexico City. It's a good start from De Grassi. So Wehrlein comes over to cover the inside.
Classic example is Mexico 2019, being behind Verlaine the whole race, optimizing my brake, making sure I had more energy, and attacking the last lap and winning the race.
Who's going to win the Mexico City Prix? De Grassi goes for it. Wehrlein covers. He's defending like an absolute demon. Here comes Wehrlein out of the final corner. He hits zero. De Grassi wins.
Flat all the way, minimum distance, flat all the way.
De Grassi wins. Surely Da Costa is second, and surely Mortara is third. What a mad end to the Mexico City E-Prix.
Oh, nice! Oh man, I never had so much adrenaline. Oh, I never crossed the finish line sideways. Woo!
I think today was my best Formula E race ever. I tried to put pressure on him, make him use energy, and then in the last corner he just slowed down, tried to close the door, and I crossed the line sideways. It's unbelievable.
I just love the unknown of Formula E. I think that's what the great thing about it is. You can basically lead the whole race, think you're doing a great job, but then the last 2 laps you can kind of run out of energy and end up finishing 6th, 7th, 8th.
That final lap, so I'm going for Cassidy for third.
Roland's got a problem. Roland's got a problem. Is he running out of energy on the final lap of racing here? What has happened to Oliver Roland? Head in hand sign for Tommaso Volpe for the team principal. Delight for Porsche and for Pascal Wehrlein in the most dramatic circumstances on the final lap.
What's happened?
We don't know it. We don't know what happened.
How do you not know? It's my crypto, man.
People have to understand that we are pushing 100% all the time. It's just that what changes is sometimes you're allowed to use more energy or less energy to gain or defend a position, right? Which means you're driving fast, but also driving efficiently. And if you do that, for sure you're going to have a good result in the race.
The number of things these drivers and teams have to work out in this energy equation is mind-boggling. It's really not about who has the fastest car. It's about who has the smartest team. And that is what I don't think people understand about Formula E. And when they do, Formula E starts looking pretty cool.
The biggest misconception I think that fans have is that it's easy. The race obviously is very chaotic always in Formula E, which is very exciting for the fans.
Absolutely huge. Pepe Martin is an enormous accident.
What has to go on behind the driver's head, plus in the engineering room, is quite interesting.
Remember what we said earlier, this is chess, not checkers. Formula E isn't just a race, it is a tech war on wheels, and we are just scratching the surface.
As you can see, this is very unusual.
It's a bit hard to see it from here, but if you... Oh, sorry, mate.
So stick around because it only gets crazier from here.